Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome. Let's see how we can customize themes in Windows. Also enable dark mode. And why do you switch to dark mode and why it is important? What are benefits of switching to dark mode if you are sitting for long hours in front of system? To change a theme, you have to go to personalize, and so once you go to personalize, on left side you will see something like a themes. If you go to themes, and there you can see already installed themes, and you can enable whatever the theme you want by just clicking on that theme. Or else if you want to install a new theme, you can go to get more themes, and that will take you to Windows Store. There you can see bunch of themes which are already available themes. Download and install on your machine. You can choose whatever the theme you want, and all you need to do is let's select, and that will take you to another page, and then you just need to click on get. Most of the themes are free, and there are paid themes as well. If you are really interested in that, you can buy, and that will be enabled. And I think yeah, I'll be installing this one as well. Let's see. And once you install theme, to enable dark mode for that, you see it is, once you install the theme, what it does, it changes the background. That is the first thing, and also it changes view. Okay, how it looks and what are the applications, start menu, and different things, and okay, and dark mode. Same thing, you can enable dark theme you want, any kind of theme that is installed. And also one more thing, now dark mode, many people are actually switching to dark mode, and we'll see why you need to switch to dark mode. And to enable dark mode, so all you need to do is you have to go to colors. Once you go to colors, and there of course you can customize colors, the background and font, all those things you can do. But the more than that, the bottom, all the way to the bottom, you can see light and dark. Switch to dark. What it does, changes, it enables a dark mode for the theme which is installed. Okay, and you can switch back to light. But trust me, if you enable dark mode, which enables you to work for a long hours on a system, and also on top of that there are many health benefits with this dark mode if you are especially working in the night. And basically if you enable dark mode, and most of the natively that Windows, most of applications in Windows support this dark mode. Also many applications are starting to add this setting into preferences, including websites. Dark mode, where you can enable dark mode by going to preferences. Okay, now you can see if I go, and if I go to any application, let's open settings, and there you can see which is dark, and which is really which doesn't put much strain on your eyes if you are working for a long hours, especially for the programmer, game developer, or any kind of job which relates to sitting in front of machine for a long hours. And and let's see why you switch to dark mode. Let's see why you should switch to dark mode. So far we have seen how to enable dark mode and what is dark mode. And now let's see why you should switch to dark mode. Why you should prefer using dark mode, especially during night. And the why you should switch to dark mode is if any application is supporting dark mode. And of course many websites are now supporting dark mode, and they are actually having a button right or left somewhere to enable actually dark mode. And I'm not going further technical here. This might be kind of intimidating, but let me show you what it is exactly. Most of you guys might know that we have 7 different types of electromagnetic radiations, and one of them is a visible light, and that is what we see. And the actually change in color is actually a change in frequency, and change in frequency and wavelength, and that frequency wavelength we perceive it as a different color. And if you see here, as we go right, the frequency increases, wavelength decreases, and energy increases. So the blue light is having a high energy compared to red light, and that is what actually causes most damage to your eyes and the overexposure. And if you see here, and violet and blue are high in energy, and unfortunately most of electronic screens actually emit the most of the light that screens emit is actually the blue light. And on top of that, we'll see what are the effects it is actually causes. And the next thing is that if you actually use dark mode, according to Google a few years back, according to its survey, it said that using dark mode in devices actually the battery consumptions, they actually consume 6 times less compared to the actually light mode. So in the sense, using dark mode actually saves your battery a lot. 6 times means a lot. And next thing is that dark mode gives you digital eye strain, so which is actually a strain or uncomfort that is caused after working 2 or 3 hours of after spending 2 or 3 hours of your time in front of a computer or electronic device. This is actually noticed in adults and children. And more than that, the light, overexposure to the light, or the people who spend most of the time in front of machines, actually they may not actually expect this, but there is actually a relationship between the chronic problems and the relationship between some problems and cancers, and the overexposure to the harmful blue light. And yes, it creates a macular degeneration if you are actually overexposed to the blue light. And I recommend you use dark mode on specs if you are actually spending most of the time in front of computer and the working in the night. Yes, of course it affects your sleep. It is doing that much means it affects your sleep. And like we said, it affects melatonin hormone, which is actually the hormone directly influences circadian rhythm. Basically circadian rhythm is actually our internal clock which controls the sleep and wake cycle. And so which is actually affected because of this blue light and the overexposure to the light, our circadian system and melatonin hormone. So as a result, and it affects your sleep and your circadian rhythm, and might cause some of the health troubles as well. So the blue light is a culprit here. It is the one, it affects actually twice the production of melatonin compared to other green and red lights. and unfortunately screens emit the blue light the most. So make sure, so what is the, so take care of yourself and make sure your cardiac rhythm is not affected by your exposure to blue light and bright light, especially if you are working on systems and if you are the developer, programmer, or game designer or developer, whatever the job you are doing which is related with the sitting on computer for long hours. And what is a remedy, what is a solution? Of course, use dark mode at least during night. Of course, you can use specs that block blue light, and those are actually available. You can use specs that block, of course they actually work. And before you go, let me give you few tips, bonus tips to take frequent breaks, reduce brightness as much as possible, position yourself at proper distance from computer or any electronic devices that you use. Avoid looking at bright screens at least 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. Wear blue light blocking glasses or install apps that will filter blue and green lights, and you can enable that app during night. Finally, the thing you need to know is that red light is having least power to shift circadian rhythm. So red light is possibly better than blue light, also green light. Thank you. See you in the next video.